Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. First of all, thank you very much to everyone who liked and subscribed on the last video. Yep, what's going on here? Yeah, thanks very much to everyone who liked and subscribed on the last video. Very much appreciated. I'm out of the Himalayan today, as you can probably see. I did start going out on the BSA, but for some reason it decided to stop working at the end of the street. I don't know why. I suspect maybe the battery tender wasn't connected properly. But anyway, I had to push it back from the end of the street. It's not too far. It's about 150 yards, but my god, it almost killed me in all this gear. It's a reasonably warm day for spring. But by the time I got home I was sweating my bollocks off. So I thought, rather than waste a lovely day, I'll get the Himalayan out instead. I hope everyone's keeping well and managing to get out on the bikes now that the weather in the UK has turned for the better. And wherever you are out in the world, I always wish you safe riding. Today I thought I'd talk about something that we've probably all done. Let's go down here, I haven't been down here before. Something that we've probably all done, and if we haven't, then hats off to you. And that is dropping the bike. Whoops, a daisy. I think we're both as startled as each other there. Are you alright? Go on. Yeah, so where was I? Yes, dropping the bike. I've been riding for 40 odd years. Well, it's almost a green lane, this, isn't it? I've been riding for almost, well, over 40 years, well over 40 years. And I was trying to work out how many times I've dropped a bike. It turns out to be 7. Now when you drop the bike, for the most part, you usually end up blaming someone else. And when I look back to when I dropped mine, for the most part, I kind of put the blame on someone else. Let's go down here. The first one was when I had my Suzuki A100 and I was just learning to ride. And in fact I was practicing for my test, so I've been studying the highway code. And I was on the RAF base at the time. And this car was coming towards me. I don't think he saw me. So as per the highway code, I flashed my lights to warn him that I was there. And I bet you can guess what happened next. Yes, he carried on going. I had to do an emergency stop, which I had been practicing, and I fell off. So technically, it wasn't my fault. However, you must realise that most people don't know the highway code very well. So I think probably what I should have done was just stop and let him come. Now it could be argued that the driver was wrong, and yes he was, but I think I was wrong as well. I was probably a bit naive, to be honest, at that point in my riding career. Now the second accident I had was when I had my Honda 250 Super Dream. It had been raining heavily. I was in Shropshire heading down towards Bristol to see the missus at the time. There was a nice straight piece of road, and the front tyre on the Super Dream hit one of the bonding strips, which of course when wet can be deadly for motorcyclists and presumably normal cyclists as well. And off I went at about 50 miles an hour, which was somewhat surprising for me at the time. Two reasons. One, I didn't think this Super Dream could go 50 miles an hour, but more surprising that I wasn't expecting it. Now I remember at the time I was blaming the particular council for putting the bonding strips down on the riding line, but the reality is again it was actually my fault, because I should have been more aware of the road surface and the consequences of the rain on the bonding strip. Luckily the bike wasn't damaged very much. I had panniers on, so that sort of saved the back end, and it needed usual levers and this, that and the other, but it wasn't too badly damaged. I got off relatively lightly. I was only in my 20s at that point, so I bounced quite merrily and rolled across the tarmac. Luckily nothing was coming the other way. Bounced up the curb and then saw my bike sliding across the road in front of me. Now the third time was on my Kawasaki Z400. I used that to commute to work when I was in the RAF, because I was on married quarters at that stage, and the commute was about 25 minutes through urban environments. We used to live in flats. We used to park the bike outside with a cover on it, because we didn't have any garages on the RAF base. And this particular day was quite frosty in the morning when I set off, and I pulled out of the close that we lived in, and next thing I knew I was flat on my arse. Now there's two things there, I think, to learn from for me at the time. One was, could I have decided to go in the car instead that morning, knowing that it was frosty? And I think the answer to that is probably yes. But the other thing could also be argued is that if I didn't have a car and that was my only form of transport to get to and from work, like it is for lots of people, it does leave you in a bit of a quandary as to what to do. Because if it's not safe and there's no bus available or no public transport available, what do you do? Fylingdales in the distance there. RAF Fylingdales. Now the fourth time I came off was on my Aprilia Millie. Now this must have been around about 2008, maybe 2009, something like that. I was on the road to Grassington in the Yorkshire Dales, and there was a van in front of me, like a transit van, and it suddenly stopped and turned right. I slammed my anchors on, and really there was nowhere to go. I could either go into the back of the transit van or into sort of the gutter and the hedge. So I decided the latter, which I think I probably did instinctively, to be honest. And again, not too much damage to the bike, but it did hurt my knee on my thigh. Nothing too drastic, but that particular part of my thigh now I can't feel. Only a sort of a patch of about 3 or 4 inches square. I'll probably damage the nerves in there, I'd imagine. I spent a long time cursing that van driver for just suddenly slamming the anchors on without indicating or anything. And yes, I was right in criticising him. However, I really should have criticised myself as well for riding too closely and not being able to stop within the distance I can see to be clear on my own side of the road. So whose fault was it really? If I'm going to be self-critical, I would say it was mine. When I'm out and about in the car, on the bike, I see it all the time. People riding or driving right up the jacksie of somebody else. And actually asking for trouble. And the number of accidents that happen by someone rear-ending somebody else is enormous. And of course, as we know, the consequences for us on a motorbike are that much greater. Now the 6th time I dropped the bike, oh, we're on to 5, I can't remember now anyway. Next time I dropped the bike was when I got the Triumph Tiger 1050. I'd never had an adventure bike, style adventure bike before. And I was just getting used to the weight of the thing, with it being so top heavy. And the junction not far from my house with a set of traffic lights on it. And there's a bit of a bugger for bikes because it's on quite a steep gradient, and it's one of those where you're tap dancing with the foot on the rear brake Then you've got to swap over when you need to set up and what have you. Anyway, misjudged rather, the slope and the weight of the bike, and I went over when I was stationary. Now, first thing to say was it was highly embarrassing because there was a massive queue of traffic behind me. Someone immediately behind me got out of the car and helped me lift the bike up. Because of how the bike was laid, it was very difficult for me to pick up. I must admit I was flapping a bit. But really, what I should have done, instead of just jumping on the bike and pretty much getting on with it, which is, what we all like to do when we get a new bike, should have learned or got used to it, if you like. And practiced some gentle hill starts and what have you before going up that hill. So again, my fault. Now the next time is on the Triumph again. This was in 2023 in September, and it was a Monday. And I was due to go in for my prostate surgery on Thursday, and to be honest I didn't know whether I was ever going to ride a motorbike again after my operation, because some people get incontinence so bad that it is quite life restricting. It's not often, but some people do. And I was thinking, at the very best it's going to be a couple of months before I ride, so I wanted to get a ride out before I went into hospital. And I was coming out of Kettlewell on the way to Middleham over the tops. I'm sure those of you in Yorkshire who've travelled that route know which road I mean, the back route. And on the back route is a very scenic route. There's a very steep climb, I think it's about 25% gradient. The real switchback on it. Everything's off camber and what have you. There's no one around. I was going round the bend, that particular bend, and I hit a false neutral. And I went to put my foot down, and there was no ground, and down I went. And the way the bike fell meant that I couldn't pick it up, because there was a massive rock not allowing me to access the bars, etc. So I thought, oh crikey, what am I going to do? Luckily I wasn't injured, so I was hardly going any speed at all, to be honest. So I walked up the hill to try and get a phone signal. No joy. Thought, bugger. So I'm stood there for 20 minutes trying to work out what to do. No one passed me at all. And in the distance, coming from Kettlewell, I saw 4 bikes. And they turned out to be a group of 4 Belgian bikers who were on holiday that had passed just coming into Kettlewell. Anyway, they were very kind, stopped and helped me. It took all 3 of them, it took 3 of them to lift the bike up. Then me sat on it and the other one holding it up, so they could actually start the engine, get it into gear and get moving because of the camber and the gradient. And that shook me up a little bit, really. It could have been a lot worse than it actually was. And the last time, so my fault really on that, it was my fault. 2 reasons. One, My gear changing should have been a little bit more positive. But more importantly, I took the corner too sharply. I should have gone further wide to flatten out that gradient a little bit. But you live and you learn. And the last time I dropped a bike was I was pushing my BSA out the garage, and the side stand hadn't retracted properly, and I hit the lip of the garage threshold, and the bike went down. I tried to vainly hold it up with one arm, managed to stop the bike getting damaged. I did end up doing my back in, twisted my back, which was quite painful for some time. And again, totally my fault. I should have checked to make sure the side stand was up properly. But at the same time, and as I was faffing around with the side stand, trying to get it down fully as the bike went down, I've moved my hip away from the bike as well, and the fall of the bike was inevitable. I'd be interested to hear of any of your offs. And who was to blame with those once you've really thought about it. Now sometimes it is not your fault. Many times in fact it might not be your fault. But I think as riders we do need to self-critique, because by doing that it gives us a learning opportunity to try and hope that those things never happen again. One of the great things about advanced driving and riding is that, according to ROSPA, Royal Society Prevention of Accidents, advanced drivers or riders are 10 times less likely to be involved in an accident. Now, the perfect ride or drive doesn't exist, so no one's infallible, but it's a pretty startling statistic nevertheless. And I think as motorcycle riders, the odds are stacked against us on the roads as it is. So I would recommend anyone to do some form of advanced training, even if it's just a bike safe course with the police. So that's all for today. Thanks very much for tuning in. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe. Helps me enormously. And I shall catch you on the next one. Cheerio!